Hello guys and gals, I will be reading from Mythical Monsters, Legendary Fearsome Creatures. This is going to be part 2. I can put that to the side now. In the last episode, we read the introduction. I believe that's what it was called. Yeah, the introduction. We read about Beowulf's dragon, and we read about the Chupacabra. And I believe we read about Gornik as well. Let's see, that was the Russian one. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, we were to Knicker. Or Knicker? Knicker, I think. So, these pages are so glossy, which I like, but it's going to probably make it difficult to read. We are going to start by reading about Knicker, but first we're going to go over the copyright information, because that's just... It says, this is a Scholastic book, and it has the names Gerrie, McCall, and Chris McNab. So I assume they wrote the thing, or compiled the information. And that's the information as well. Copyright 2011 by Amber Books. So, without further ado, we will be reading about Knicker. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not. There isn't a pronunciation thing here, but we'll say it's Knicker. And I don't know what happened to his body. He's kind of, I don't know. Anyways, looks like he's a head and a tail. Okay, so Knicker. The K is pretty much silent like a knock or need, K-N-E-A-D. Anyways, eyes. Eerie eyes glow with a chemical that allows the Knicker to see great distances in the dense waters and in the densest waters and on land. Okay, so wow, he has some really interesting eyes. Jaws. It says immense jaws. Open wide enough to swallow a horse and cart whole, teeth larger than railroad spikes line the mouth that reek of the Knicker's nauseating breath. Okay, he needs to brush his teeth then. Body. A streamlined, eel-shaped body aids the Knicker in navigating quick and silently through the chilly waters of the Knicker hole. Well, okay. Tail. Capable of swatting down trees, the gigantic tail is the dragon's most dangerous appendage. Well, he's mostly tail. Wings. Oh, he actually has wings. Oh, yeah, I guess he does. He's like a fish. He has like little wings. Okay. Small wings allow the Knicker to fly low through marshy areas in search of likely victims. When in the water, the wings act as fins. So, yeah, he looks more like a fish. Okay, now we're going to look at the picture of Knicker eating this horse while I read this. Terrible water-dwelling dragon, the Knicker makes nightly raids on Leviathan farms for meals of horses and cows. Any person crossing its path is just another meal to the Knicker. The dragon squeezes its prey to death or shreds its victim's flesh to ribbons with its poisonous fangs, and the thrashing of the Knicker's immense tail topples the trees of Batworth Park. Many a still night in Leviathan is shattered by the hiss and roar of the ravenous dragon. So many villagers and farm animals go missing that the mayor offers a reward to anyone who can kill the Knicker and allow the villagers to live without fear. Okay, now let's see how they beat it. Obviously, this is in England. Jim, a farm boy from a nearby village, tells the mayor his plan to defeat the Knicker. The mayor orders the village to help Jim with everything he needs. The villagers give Jim all the ingredients for an enormous pie. Dragons like pie. Jim bakes the gigantic pie laced with poison for the Knicker. He hauls the pie out to the Knicker hole using a borrowed cart and horse. Well, they're not coming back. The Knicker eats the pie, horse, and cart. The poison kills the dreaded dragon, and Jim chops off the head with an axe. Okay. Says, where in the world? The Knicker rises from the Knicker hole in Leviathan, West Sussex. Its residence. The Knicker hole is a bottomless pool fed by an underground spring. And it's about right there. Did you know? Okay, we're going to have it. I'll read this now. St. Mary Magdalene Church in Leviathan contains the Slayer's slab, a gravestone dedicated to the hero who killed the Knicker. The British explorer Sir Francis Drake was called the Dragon by the Spanish because he was a fierce warrior and he helped defeat the Spanish Armada. The Knicker hole, where the Knicker lives, is a bottomless pool that neither freezes in winter nor dries up in summer. 6 bell ropes from Leominster Church were tied together and let down in the Knicker hole to measure its depth, but the bottom was never found. Residents of Leominster once used water from the Knicker hole as a cure-all tonic. The county of Sussex once had a thriving dragon population. Bignor Hill and St. Leonard's Forest in Sussex also have a history of dragon infestations. That's fascinating. On we go to Krak's dragon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Krak's dragon. Tail. Let's take a look at that tail. Okay, looks like it has a little thing on the end of it. The swishing tail knocks over fences, damages bridge supports, and strips bark from trees. It can also crush a human rib cage with a single blow. Ouch. I think I'll stay away from that dragon's back end. Wings. Broad wings enable airborne attacks, which are the most effective method of terrorizing the countryside, of course. And let's take a look at those wings. Yeah, those are some nice wings. Claws. Let's take a look at those toe claws. Hooked claws shred and dig into the flesh of the dragon's helpless prey as it holds its squirming meal in its toothy jaws. Okay, let's talk about the jaws then. Terrible fire-belching jaws are lined with pointed fangs. The dragon's scorch marks deface barns, forests, public buildings, and flocks of sheep throughout Krakow. What, is this based off of Sonic? Spyro? Because I know Spyro likes to torch sheep, you know? So he burns up sheep. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, maybe this was an inspiration for Spyro. Interesting. I'm just saying that. I don't think it was, but anyways. Fire-belching jaws. The dragon's scorch marks deface barns, forests, public buildings, and flocks of sheep. So it doesn't kill sheep, it burns them? That's kind of mean. The dragon's massive skull is counterbalanced in flight by its long tail. Its piercing vision allows it to spot its next meal from half a mile, 0.8 kilometers away. And so there we have it. That is Krak's dragon. Now let's read about him. But we're going to watch him torch visitors first and sheep and stuff. In Polish legend, a fearsome dragon lives in a dark cave at the foot of Wawel Hill, along the banks of the Vistula River. Every day it rages through the countryside, terrifying the inhabitants of Krakow. Oh, now I get it. Krakow. The bad-tempered, fire-breathing dragon eats farm animals and people. Anything that runs from it is fair game. After it gobbles down several small children, it plunders homes for prized possessions to take back to its cave. Many bold knights try to slay the dragon and perish in flames for their efforts. Its daily thefts begin to affect the local economy. The people of the area grow poorer, and the princess worries she will never marry. Okay, let's find out what she does. Here, let's look at you. Every citizen in... Oh, wait. Krak, a peasant boy, employed as a shoemaker's apprentice, is intelligent, cunning, and possess a unique culinary skill. The king is desperate for anyone's dragon-slaying services and allows the raggedy-dressed boy to try. Krak stuffs 3 roasted sheep full of sulfur and hot spices and leaves the spicy meal next to the dragon's cave. The greedy dragon gulps them down whole. The spices and sulfur burn the dragon's stomach. It drinks half the Vistula River to quench its thirst. Its swollen, burning gut bursts and kills it. Ooh, that's a terrible way to go, even for a terrible dragon. You would basically keep getting bigger and bigger and then just explode like that guy in Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. You know, hey, one more wafer, and then boom, he blows up. Yeah, that's basically what happened to this dragon. Dragon entrails everywhere. Every citizen of Poland is familiar with the stories of the death, trauma, and destruction caused by Krak's dragon. Okay, so it's named after the guy that killed it, and also because it's from Krakow. Okay, and then that's where it is on the map. Did you know the city of Krakow is named after the heroic Krak? Okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. So maybe Krakow wasn't named Krakow before Krak's dragon. Okay, I get it. Near the cavern beneath the castle of Krakow, there is a monument to Krak's dragon. The statue of the dragon has been rigged with a natural gas nozzle so that it breathes fire every few minutes. Wow. Krak marries the princess and is given the dragon's hoarded treasure. After the death of the king, Krak ascends the throne. Many dragons prefer to sleep on top of a pile of jewels and treasure because more traditional bedding materials are not easily ignited by their fiery breath. Now, that's why I said about... There was a meme going around of a dragon hoarding, like, hand sanitizer and toilet paper, and I was like thinking, you know, one breath of fire from the dragon, it's all going to go up in smoke. But anyways, but that's the reason why, is because the treasure they get isn't flammable. Trickery is often a preferred method for defeating the most dangerous dragons. Cunning is generally a mightier weapon than the sword when facing a beast of such tremendous size, aggression, and appetite. Yeah, so you basically attack the stomach. Go for the stomach. Okay, next we have Leviathan. I think these are actually mentioned in the Bible. I don't know if that's mentioned here or not, but I do remember reading about Leviathans in the Bible, but I don't know if they refer to these creatures or not. Leviathan. Jaws. Well, those are some massive jaws on you, buddy. Okay. No one escapes the gripping jaws, which are lined with rows of terrible teeth and belch out sparks and flames. They don't mention anything about his breath, so maybe he's got a minty, fresh breath. Body. Long and immense, powerful, the serpentine body coils and writhes as Leviathan surges through the water, creating a frothing white wake behind him. Ooh. So wait, that's the body, so let's take a look at that. Yeah, he's got, you can basically see his body there. Okay, we're going to go chest next. Just go down here. Leviathan's powerful neck and chest bulge with sinews like great ropes. Yeah, of iron, and within his chest beats a heart cold, unfeeling, and hard as stone. Ooh, so it's an unfeeling, uncaring predator. Scales. Tougher than the stoutest shield and tightly overlapped, these form an impenetrable armor that makes the monster invulnerable to human weapons such as swords, spears, and harpoons. Okay, that's good to know. Fins. Okay, it has fins too. I thought those were claws, but they're saying those are probably fins. Yeah. Spiny pectoral fins easily slice flesh from bone, but also come in handy when the monster wants to drag his massive body onto rocks. Okay. Okay, now we're going to look at these terrified people. We're going to look at them while I read this. This primordial sea monster dominates the watery wastes of the world and has power over all the creatures of the ocean. So he's like Aquaman. He is chaos and evil personified. Okay, not like Aquaman. And he brings death and disaster in his foaming wake. His body stinks like a rotten carcass, and he drinks the entire flow of rivers every day. His furnace-hot breath makes the sea boiling, and when he sneezes, smoke billows from his nose. The Leviathan is first mentioned in Middle Eastern creation myth and dating back more than 5,000 years. According to Hebrew text, Yahweh, God, made Leviathan and the female mate on the 5th day of creation, but promptly killed the female to stop her producing offspring that might destabilize the world. I'm not sure that's biblical, but okay. That's still an interesting thing. Okay, let's look at his beautiful face while I read this. Stirring up the oceans with his mighty tail, Leviathan created a seething wall of water that gathers speed, bursts over the shore, and completely overwhelms a small fishing village. Huts are shattered like matchwood, and screaming victims are swept out to their deaths. A few locals escape the carnage by climbing trees, and they can only watch in horror as the monster rears out of the water and gloats at his handiwork and gobbles up anyone washed out to sea. Where in the world? Leviathan has its his origins in the early Hebrew writings from the Middle East dating back to about 3000 BC. The Hebrews occupied Turkey, Syria, Jordan, Israel, Iraq and Iran, but the monster has the run of all the world's oceans. Okay, wow, so he's in all the water. Okay. Early images of the Leviathan from seal stones and weapons show the monster with 7 heads. Christians have identified the Leviathan with Satan, with his huge mouth being the entrance to hell. Many fish swim willingly into the Leviathan's jaws, apart from the tiny sickleback. The Leviathan fears the sickleback because it was created to keep him in check. Okay, that's fascinating. And we're going to read now about the mummy. Yes, the mummy. Okay, mummy. Like those Brendan Fraser movies, and then they made a reboot, retooling with Tom Cruise, was it? With the female mummy? I don't know. Anyway, wrappings. The mummy was bound in layers of resin-soaked strips of linen made from bed sheets in horror films. They protect the monster from bullets and other weapons. Oh, wow. So they're bulletproof. I didn't know that. Magic charms. It's pointing to that ring, I think. So that must be one of the magic charms. Charms such as magic rings give the mummy great power. Okay, I didn't realize that. Fingers. In films, the fingers are long and powerful, ideal for throttling, so he strangles people. Wow. Skin and lips. Embalming dries out the body completely, leaving skin, lips, and other tissue cracked and shriveled. In films, the mummy leaves a gruesome trail of flaked skin scraps wherever it roams in search of revenge. Okay. And then the eyes. The embalmers replace the eyes with packing or stones. In films, the eyes of the mummy glow with a mysterious inner force. That's awesome. Sorry about that. All this reading had made my nose start to run. My allergies, and I got the air conditioner on. Ugh. Massive trauma on my sinuses. Okay. Ancient Egyptians carved grim threats on the tombs of their embalmed kings, warning the living not to disturb the grave or risk the wrath of the mummy. The mummy is an embalmed body that has survived intact in its secret tomb for thousands of years. Wrapped in strips of linen and sealed away with gold jewelry and other treasures, it is protected by a curse. In horror films, the mummy comes to life to take revenge on robbers and archaeologists who dare to invade their tombs. Okay. 2 archaeologists and their hired workers have spent weeks hacking at the rocks, and now the tomb's entrance is revealed. Also visible are the symbols spelling out a dire threat. The workers grow restless, but the archaeologist dismisses their fears. Using heavy axes, the workers rain blows on the entrance, which shatters with a deafening crack. Holding his blazing torch high, the lead archaeologist enters the tomb with his colleague close behind. He looks around in awe as the torchlight glints off precious objects decorated with gold and jewels. A movement catches his eye, and he turns to see a massive stone coffin open and a huge mummy appear. The mummy lumbers towards him with outstretched arms. Paralyzed with fear, the archaeologist stands helpless as he feels the mummy's powerful hands grip his throat and begin to squeeze. Okay. Where in the world? It says, the best-known tombs of mummies are in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. The mummy of Tutankhamun still lies in his tomb near the ancient city of Thebes in Luxor, close to the Nile River. Other tombs were at Abydos, 93 miles, 150 kilometers farther downriver. Did you know? In medieval times, physicians often sold real or fake mummy's flesh and wrappings in powder form as medicine. It was used to treat disorders from acne to ulcers. Scientists set up the world's first international mummy tissue bank in Manchester Museum, UK, in the late 1990s. It holds tissue samples taken from mummies housed in museums around the world for use in medical research. The Egyptian priests tried many different ways to protect the royal tombs, including inscribing blood-curdling curses. They built huge granite doors and secret entrances. We have time for one more, I think. Let's read about Orochi. And let's have a look at Orochi. He looks pretty big because he's got trees on his back. So he's like that big turtle. That goes Turtwig, Grodel, Torterra. So he's kind of like Torterra, I guess. Except he's got a bunch of tails there. Man. Okay, eyes. It says, 8 sets of eyes that are red as winter cherries. Keep watch in all directions. Okay, so he can see in all directions. Tails. 8 sinuous tails create strange whistling noises as Orochi thrashes them in anger. So he's kind of like Tauros, but Tauros only has 3 tails. And he has 8. Okay. Belly. Perpetually bloody and inflamed from his kills, the ravenous dragon's belly must always be filled. Okay, so his belly is covered in blood. Okay. That sounds a little bit scary. Body. The giant body stretches over 8 valleys and 8 hills. Orochi's back is covered with moss and trees. Okay, so he is kind of like... that's basically how big he is compared to humans. Okay. Each year, the evil dragon Orochi demands that a Japanese maiden be offered to him in sacrifice. Even the bravest of warriors cannot defeat this vicious, cunning beast. His gigantic body slithers across 8 hills and valleys, and his 8 hungry heads make him impossible to approach. One day, Susanoo, the god of the sea and storms, came upon 2 weeping parents. 7 of their daughters had been devoured by Orochi in the past 7 years. Now their 8th, the only remaining daughter, is to be sacrificed to Orochi. Susanoo agrees to slay the dragon if their 8th daughter will be his wife. Okay, that sounds fair. Susanoo transforms the maiden into a comb, which he safely hides in his hair. Susanoo arranges 8 enormous vats of rice wine in a circle and leaves them out to tempt the dragon. Attracted by the smell of the strong wine, Orochi plunges each of his 8 heads into the vat and drinks greedily. The drunken dragon collapses helpless on the ground, and Susanoo uses his powerful sword to slice Orochi to pieces. The local river runs red with the blood of the slain menace. Where in the world? Orochi's 8 hungry heads terrorize the citizens of Izumo province in Japan, near the foot of Mount Sensuzan. Now, did you know? As Susanoo hacked up Orochi, he discovered a sacred sword embedded in one of his tails. The screams of the dying dragon could be heard throughout even the furthest islands of Japan. The dragon's full name, Yamato no Orochi, meaning big snake of 8 branches. Fresh maidens are a favorite meal of dragons worldwide. During the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, it was popular for Japanese firefighters to get dragon tattoos. They believed the image of the dragon would protect them while fighting fires. Although fearsome and powerful, Japanese dragons are also fair and benevolent. The Japanese believe dragons bring wealth and good luck. Images of dragons adorn many Buddhist temples in Japan. Dragons are thought to dispel evil. So not all dragons are evil, in other words. And we will pick this up next time with St. George and the Dragon. And that will do it for this book. Well, not this book, but this episode. This video. If you like this stuff, then make sure that you hit like and subscribe, and that you ring the bell so that you know when I upload, and that I really appreciate the support. And if you want any information about that, and if you're interested at all about that, then make sure you read the description, because that is where all that information is kept. With that being said, this will be the end of the video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.